Opinions expressed are those of the show's host, not WPSL, WSTU, or eXP Realty. Any reproduction or reuse of this program without written consent of WPSL and STU are strictly prohibited. Welcome to My Dream Home Radio Show with your host, Eileen Simons and Paula Brady. Why, Paula, you've changed.
Paula has the day off today.
There you go. All right. Congratulations.
Before we get started, I just have to tell you, Greg, there's something on our outline, the coming soon, that we're not going to do today.
Oh, okay. We need that mic right in front of you there. Okay, there you go.
Anyway, good morning, everybody.
How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was busy.
Yeah?
Yep. Had listing appointments and met with buyers and took down all the our Christmas village at the office to get it back to
yeah, we're going to do that next weekend.
Back to normal.
Yeah.
So it was a busy weekend.
Yep.
But then I took off between Christmas and New Year's, so I have to make up for that time.
There you go. Well, hey, why not? Why not? Cool.
Right. Yep. Something that I didn't realize was yesterday, but it's important to me because I come from a long line of military, law enforcement, firefighters, and EMTs, and so I guess yesterday was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Yes, it was. Yep.
So we appreciate our law enforcement, and I wanted to make sure that we recognize them.
Got good friends in all services. Yep. Very much so.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have a special guest with us today.
Yes, a familiar face.
Since she's live in the studio, I'm going to introduce her, and we will go ahead and do her interview first, and I will wait on my national and local stats. The one thing I did want to bring up, because it's going to be part of our conversation with Vanessa, is this is an article that National Association of Realtors has a periodical that goes out all the time. So, of course, I read it when it comes out and use some of the information for the show here. And this particular one says that second home demand is up 77% from pre-pandemic levels.
Wow.
Yes.
Second homes.
Second homes.
Wow. Okay.
Second home market appears to remain strong, especially in non-traditional destination cities far from the coastlines and the mountains, which of course are the most popular places. They're typically a little less expensive, a little less populated. In the fall of 2021, a homeowner's insurance firm called Fhfa analyzed the median home costs, the average home insurance premiums, property value gains, crime rates, and more to identify the second home markets with the best investment potential. They found unexpected second home hotspots in places like El Paso, Texas, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Glendale, Arizona, Newark, New Jersey, and I'm sure they could have added the Treasure Coast to that as well.
Newark, New Jersey.
Yep, that's what it says.
Oh, brother. I covered enough games there. No, never. Never.
Anyway,
wow.
I thought 77% was very significant.
Yeah. Well, you know, St. Lucie County just expanded their boundaries. Did you know that? All the way up to Boone, North Carolina. All you see in Boone, North Carolina are St. Lucie County license tags. Speaking of second homes. Oh, brother. Yeah.
And Georgia.
Well, yeah, but it seems like that area of the Western Carolinas is where a lot of our people go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. All right.
So I am very pleased to introduce Vanessa Coniglio. She is a loan officer for South State Bank Mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a separate name? Do they have South State Mortgage and South State Bank? Or is it South State Bank Mortgage?
It's South State Bank, but I work for the mortgage division. So I don't, good morning, everyone. But yeah, I work for the mortgage division. And, you know, I am technically an employee of the bank, but I work on the mortgage side and have really nothing to do with the retail
banking side.
Yes,
right.
so
okay.
For sure. I've the mortgage division is a huge entity of the bank, and we cover a much larger area than the local bank branches do.
So, why don't you give us a little bit of information about your background and
Okay.
how you got to South State?
Well, I started doing mortgages about 20 some odd years ago, and I'll tell
And
you.
she looks like she's 12.
I was going to say she was 3 when she started.
Oh
that.
my gosh, thank you. I actually have 2 kids in college right now. But
What?
yeah.
Wow.
And, yeah. So to kind of tell you a funny story, I had just moved back to the Treasure Coast. I grew up in Vero, and I had just moved back down, and I was living in Nashville, and came back down and was looking for a job, and I was in my early 20s, and to be honest with you, I didn't even know what a mortgage was. And I answered a job ad and got the job, and it turned out to be for, training to be a mortgage broker, and so that's how I started, and I'm still in the business and I love it. But how I got to South State, I was actually an employee of Harbor Community Bank,
Yep.
and
That
Harbor.
was one of their mergers, right?
Well, yeah, Harbor Community used to be Harbor Federal years and years ago. Harbor Federal got bought by National City, and then when the crash happened, PNC bought National City, and then the guys that had Harbor Federal decided they wanted to get back into the banking business, and they couldn't call it Harbor Federal, so they called it Harbor Community. So they opened up, and then about 4 or 5 years later, Center State made an offer that they couldn't resist, and so Harbor became Center State. And then just recently, last year, Center State and South State merged, and we're still technically based in Winter Haven, but they liked the name South State better because we are located in Alabama and Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia.
Several South States
Yes,
now, right?
so that makes more sense.
That's cool.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I once told Hal Roberts, I said, all I would really like out of your bank is the business card business with all the transitions that you've made
Yes.
in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like, you'd be a millionaire. Oh, gosh. But, yeah, South State, I was looking at your map, and it's like, wow, you're everywhere.
Yeah, they're definitely in a lot more locations, which is, it's great. It's more opportunity. It's easier for clients, and it gives us more. We can lend in areas that we couldn't lend before, which is nice.
I know every place we go with IRSC, whether it's the west coast of Florida or the Polk County in that area, we see your logos. Yeah.
Well, what's cool about the mortgage division too is we're not necessarily limited to the states where we have physical locations. We can lend in other states as well. So we can lend in a big majority of the country, not necessarily every state, but many, many, many states.
Because you are licensed
Yes,
there.
exactly. So, we have a very large area that we can help folks out. So, again, if you're looking for a second home and you're in Florida and you're looking for a second home in Tennessee, we can help you.
Cool.
That sounds great. If you have any questions for us, just call the radio station here, 772-340-1590, and we're happy to answer your real estate or mortgage-related questions.
Absolutely.
So, Vanessa, does South State do all kinds of mortgage lending, or do they concentrate on one aspect?
No, we do pretty much everything. We do your standard conventional purchase loans. We do FHA. We have VA loans. We're very strong in the construction to perm market. I do a lot of construction perm here locally. We do lot loans, so if you want to buy a lot, I've got a lot of people right now that are wanting to buy land while it's still available. They might not quite be ready to buy.
Yeah, tell them
Or build, build, but they're buying the land with the intention to build in the next few years. So we're doing a lot of that. We do refinances, and just kind of, someone can purchase a house and renovate it, so we can do a purchase with renovation. We have a lot of different options.
Outside of the FHA program.
Yeah, the only thing that we don't do is I don't do FHA construction or VA construction. There's not a lot of lenders that do that. It's just a very unique market, and we don't do that. But we can do a purchase, a purchase with renovation. We would probably put it in our portfolio product because we do have portfolio lending, which many banks and mortgage lenders do not have. Portfolio lending is when we keep the loan in-house, and if something doesn't fit the black and white box of your standard conventional VA, FHA, we can do it in the portfolio,
which that means you keep the loan, you don't sell it, right?
Well, that's true. We actually keep a lot of our conventional loans. We are servicing a lot of our conventional loans.
Oh, great.
Yes, we do. The loans that we tend to sell to servicers are your government loans. But portfolio is just, maybe you have a unique property, or maybe your income is shown a little bit differently. Now, we're not doing any stated income or no income asset loans, so I can't help you there. But portfolio can do some things that don't fit the black and white box of conventional lending. And so for example, if you've got a unique home, maybe you have a bankruptcy or foreclosure that's not quite long enough for a conventional loan, we can help you there. So generally speaking, we can find a way to make a loan work. I can't help everybody 100% of the time, but we are very, very creative. And we have a really unique program in our portfolio. It's called Buyer's Advantage. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. It is a purchase program. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer. We can offer up to 100% financing, 30-year fixed. There is no PMI. There's no prepayment penalty. The guideline to that is the person on the loan has to either have income that's 80% of the median area income, which means that your income couldn't exceed about $59,000, or if the property sits in a census tract, which is considered a low to moderate census tract, or there's more than 50% minority in the census tract, you can qualify without having you could have unlimited income. So I'll give you an example. I live in Fort Pierce. I live on a street where the average home price on my street would probably be about $325 to $350. But because my property sits in a moderate income or moderate census tract, anyone that wanted to buy on my street could do 100% financing for that house.
Wow.
It's an amazing program.
Yeah, people think that we don't have those kind of tracks here, but we do.
But it's not just in Fort Pierce. There's the area that's like Gatlin to Becker in Port St. Lucie. Many, many, many of those houses qualify. I did one about 6 months ago for a couple that were coming up from West Palm Beach, and they bought a house that was $340,000, and we did 100% financing on a 30-year fix with no PMI.
With no PMI?
No PMI.
Do they have to have 20% down for that program?
No, it's nothing down.
Not even that?
No, nothing. 0% down. You have to come up with your closing cost, but 0% down.
Okay. And a minimum credit score?
The minimum credit score is we have to have a 640. And we'll do 97% at 640, but if you got a 680 or higher, we will do 100%.
Wow.
Wow. That sounds like a great program.
It's an amazing program.
That is, yeah.
And it's unique to us. You won't find that anywhere else. Yeah, and I love it. And another thing, and again, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, so a lot of people think it's a first-time home buyer program, but we can piggyback that with some down payment. There's a down payment assistance program that we work with out of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta, and I've done loans before where I get the borrower 100% financing, and we get them their down payment assistance from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta as a second. That second has no payments, 0% interest, and it's a fully forgivable loan. And so after 5 years, if you're still in the house, that goes away. So really the only money that they have to have out of pocket is like $500, which you're going to pay for when you get your appraisal anyway.
So these programs are for primary residents? Primary
residents only. You can't do it for second homes or investment or lot loans or construction. It is for a primary purchase. But it's a great program.
It sounds like it.
Wow. Yeah. You've got some interesting stuff here. That's,
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
We'll have to. Do you have a map that those tracks are on, or do you have a list of them?
There is a link where you can go in and look up addresses, but I can also, there's not a map that you can print, but I can actually go county to county and highlight the different census tracts that do qualify.
So if somebody wanted to know where those tracks were,
Yeah.
they could just contact you, and
Yep.
you could help
We can
them
work it.
with
Uh-huh.
that. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
so-
usually what I do is I recommend folks, I say, hey, if you've got an address that you are interested in, send me the address and I'll look it up. You know, because sometimes, like, for example, if you go out and you're looking with one of your buyers and you give them a list of properties that you think might interest them, if you send me that list, I can go down the list really quickly and I can look up each property and let you know which ones qualify.
So you think my second home on the beach is in one of those areas? No. that's,
Probably not.
Yeah, it's a rather...
No, but I have done one on the drive. Some of the drive qualifies.
Indian River Drive? You got to be kidding.
It's in 34950 zip code.
There you go.
Okay. That's a shock.
And you know, like, for example, you know where Oak Alley is off of 25th?
Yes.
Right
Yeah,
between
yeah.
Port St. Lucie.
Oh, I know where it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
That whole area qualifies.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting.
That-
I didn't realize
that's a
that area
shock.
Yeah.
qualified.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Lots of opportunities.
Lots of opportunities.
Well, of course, I immediately thought of that area down by Jensen that might qualify for that. I don't know.
And the thing is, the census tracts changed from year to year, especially as the population becomes more diverse. So, for example, you know, the minority population, I mean, many of these census tracts have over 50% minority population in the census tract, which is great. Because if it has that 50%, even if it's not a low to moderate income tract, it could be a middle to high. But if it's got 50% or if it's got more than 50, so 50.01 minority population, it would qualify.
Wow.
So the new census tracts, they generally come out probably around by the end of the third quarter of first quarter of each year. Right now, we're still working off 2021, but the 2022 should come out soon.
That's great.
So before we go any further, Vanessa, why don't you go ahead and give everybody your contact information?
Okay. Well, the best place to reach me would be at my phone number, which is my cell number. It is 772-834-3187. And I do not work regular banker's hours, so you can reach me in the afternoons, after hours. You can reach me on the weekend. You're welcome to call or text me. My email address, and I'm going to try to spell this out, is V for Vanessa. My last name is Coniglio, so that's Coniglio at
Famous baseball name, I might add.
I didn't know that, at southstatebank.com. And so that's the best way to reach me.
Do we spell out South State?
Yes.
Okay.
Bank.
Yep.
Cool.
So V Coniglio, Coniglio at southstatebank.com.
Correct.
And the phone number 772-834-3187.
Correct.
That's your work cell phone,
That's
so
my
people
work cell.
can call or
Mhm.
text you on that
Yep.
phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Great.
great. Yeah. Well, and again, when do you think you'll see some 22 numbers on the?
Hopefully by the end of the third quarter, we'll know when the new
Yeah.
census tracts are. But I mean, you know, the 2021s were good too. So don't,
Yeah.
you know.
And as the population becomes more diverse,
Absolutely.
I would imagine that more neighborhoods can qualify.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, it is amazing that when you look at Port St. Lucie. I mean, unlike say New York City, you know, where you had a Harlem and you had other areas, you know, that were just strictly, it seemed like, one nationality. You don't have that here. You know, it's because nothing. You know.
No, we're very diverse here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think the newer populated areas, you know, someday Port St. Lucie will be a big city, but the older big cities, they grew up with those neighborhoods because
Correct.
that's where people originally settled.
Right.
But as people move around and they move to other areas, it seems like it's just more of a melting pot.
Oh, Port St. Lucie's definitely a melting pot.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's,
And got to be honest, there's Fort Pierce has been discovered. So,
yes.
we used to be this little sleepy town that nobody ever talked about, but people know where it is now because you know what? It's affordable. It's still affordable when you consider what the cost of homes are down south
yeah.
and up north.
I was going to say and north.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and then Jerry Parrish has come out with yet another Florida scorecard, and he's going to be on one of the small business shows soon from IRSC. And it is now really definite that the number one move in town, if you will, is Miami, with West Palm number 2.
Oh, yeah.
New York number 3, and Mid-Atlantic is number 4. So... yeah, but Miami is like they're emptying out that town. To come here. But what's really amazing is if you look at the drive up from Miami
Yep.
On the turnpike and look at all the signs of the developers who say, come see our affordable housing in Port St. Lucie. It's got,
Yes.
oh, this is great. This is a 100-mile long ad. Yeah. Yeah. It's tremendous. Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
So, what are the mortgage rates like right now, Vanessa?
Well,
And I know that it depends on the kind of mortgage you're getting and the
Right.
length of the mortgage. A lot of the consumers, I think, don't understand that.
right. I get calls all the time. People will call me and say, "What are your interest rates?" Well, that's a very broad question.
It's not a simple answer.
Because it all depends on your interest rate is going to be based on whether you're purchasing or refinancing, how much money that you're putting down, what type of property you're buying. Is it a primary residence? Is it a second home? Is it an investment property? What your credit score is. There's a lot of things that affect interest rate. But as a general rule right now, if you just want some general, your average 30-year fixed rate right now is about 3.5%. They have gone up at the beginning of the year. They've already gone up about 0.25%. And now, we've gotten very, very used to artificially low rates. I know my father told me when he first bought, when I was a kid, they bought a house. It was just in the late 70s, and I think the interest rate was like 17 or 18%.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Early
well,
80s
us
too.
too.
Right. When I bought my first house with my husband back in, this was like the late 90s. I think we were somewhere around 6 or 7%. We're still at 3.5%, folks.
Yes.
So
Which people don't
It's a-
realize is historically
it's
low rate.
still incredibly low. They're about where they were pre-pandemic. So don't let the fact that the rates have gone up a little bit discourage you from buying, because if you are in the market to buy right now, or even in the market to refinance, take advantage now, because rates are expected to trend upwards this year. And again, still not going to be horrible, but if it's something that you're thinking about, give us a call and see what we can do for you.
Right. I mean, especially if you're looking in the areas that Vanessa's talking about, as far as those census tract areas, that could certainly, if you're on the fence, that could certainly sway you to go ahead and purchase now, because
Yeah.
I read something recently that said by the end of 22, they're going to be over 4%.
Yes, that's what we've read. They should be.
But
in the
still,
low
again,
fours.
that's historically
Oh,
low.
yeah,
Well, that's
it's
true,
historic
but that's,
Although it would have
compared to
doubled
now,
from what
that's
it
a whole
was.
Yeah.
percent different.
It is.
Yeah.
So it does make a difference in your purchasing power.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
unfortunately, because of the lack of supply, they're not anticipating that home prices are going to drop this year.
No.
And we get a lot of people saying, oh, the market's going to crash, the market's going to crash. No, the market's not going to crash, because the last time the crash was due to bad mortgages that were being written. That's not done anymore. The banks, the mortgage companies, they all have to prove a borrower's ability to repay. And so everyone's looking at W-2s and pay stubs and verifying employment and looking at tax returns, and they're making sure that the debt to income ratios are not too high. And so the loans that are being made are solid loans.
Verifying employment. You mean you have to work? Oh. Well, see that was a problem last time. It was
Yes, it was.
It was a bank problem. It wasn't a mortgage problem.
It was a problem all across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it just they weren't checking any boxes. They were just
No, and they
handing out
were
mortgages.
lending money helter-skelter, and they
Yeah.
were lending over 100% value.
Right. Well, now too, think about this, and you know this. As a loan officer, we're not allowed to have any contact with the appraisers. It used to be that if your value came in low, if your value came in low or you needed your value to come in, you could call the appraiser and say, "Hey, I need this to come in. Do you think you can do it?" It's the truth.
Well, and some banks even had appraisers that were employees of theirs.
Yeah, and so now the mortgage banker, loan officer has absolutely no contact with the appraiser. We have a department that orders them, and they send the order out, and it gets placed with whoever's next on the rotation. We don't know who it is, and whatever comes back is what comes back. And so it's keeping the property values from being artificially inflated, other than just demand.
I think that's really smart.
I do too.
Absolutely, I do too.
I do too.
Yeah.
And those
yeah.
people that say we don't need appraisers, I think are incorrect, because I think appraisers serve a very important role in the mortgage industry, because it's, our system is built on checks and balances, and the appraisers create that
They do.
check system for that. And I mean, that's part of the reason why the market has gone up so quickly, so fast, is because we have so many cash buyers. They don't have to qualify with an appraisal. Cash buyers can choose to have an appraisal done on a property if they want to, but traditionally the appraisal is done on a financed
Right.
property.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yep. Yep.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, I think the appraisers get a bad rap, and they really should not, because I think they serve a very important role.
Yeah. Well, valuation. I mean, that's an honest valuation then.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I get that.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why traditionally, again, the real estate transaction is an arm's length transaction.
Right.
If an agent or a relative of somebody is interested in a property, they have to disclose that.
Vanessa, what makes you different from, say, some of the independent mortgage types?
In terms of the company?
Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that we have access to so many different programs, and the fact that we do have portfolio lending. There's just not many places that do that anymore. And so to have the portfolio lending and have a place to go if for some reason we can't qualify, the standard way, to me is a huge advantage. I think also the fact that we work with several down payment assistance programs, and not just Florida Housing. A lot of companies work with Florida Housing, and we do too, but we also have some other things that other companies are not available to. We can find money to help folks. And I will say, with my group, my local Treasure Coast group of loan officers, we all come from the harbor days. And we have very, very knowledgeable, well-trained loan officers who care and know the business. And they are going to look out for you. And we're not looking for a one-time transaction. We're looking for a relationship. And I have many customers that come back to me multiple times to purchase again, to refinance. They send their kids to me. They send their friends to me. And it's because we do such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and those who had banked at Harbor, I mean, it was a large family. You knew,
Correct.
a lot of the people that you were dealing with on a daily basis.
And again, a lot of the loan officers we get involved with our community. So we're active in the community. We're not, just sitting behind a phone somewhere in another state and don't know anything about our local communities. We
Right.
we live here, we work here.
You were actually involved in Christmas Kids, weren't you?
I was Christmas Kids, that,
Yep.
and I'm also involved with the local Sunrise Kiwanis recently. So I'm active at my church. I go to Westside Church off of Jenkins, and so we try to stay active in the community and
Makes you fully invested that
get
way.
out there. Yeah, exactly. I care. I grew up in Vero, and I've lived in Port St. Lucie, and I live in Fort Pierce now, and I'm, other than 6 or 7 years in Nashville when I was at school, this is my home.
So you've never been a snow kid?
No.
Actually, wait a minute. Nashville gets a little snow.
Not
Well,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
but-
Well,
Not-
my
not
brother,
like you.
my
Not
brother
like
lives
Michigan.
there, and they got 7 inches this
Yes,
past
they
week, and it was
did, and
beautiful.
it
But when
stopped.
I lived there, maybe an inch. It was usually ice.
Yeah, dusting.
Yeah.
yeah. Unlike Eileen's home in Michigan.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy. Which you figure it starts snowing in August and doesn't stop
No,
until May.
come on.
Got to be October, though, right?
I have seen it in October.
Well, I bet you have.
Yeah. I'll never forget my first Easter Sunday. We were in Michigan looking for a house. We were being transferred with General Motors from Ohio. That's where I grew up. So we are there over the Easter holiday to find a house. Easter Sunday, it snows 6 inches. And
Oh,
I said to
no.
my husband, where are you taking us? I mean, here we are with 7 kids and the 8th on the way,
Oh no.
and Easter Sunday, and there's 6 inches of snow.
Wow.
Oh,
That's crazy.
but I survived, and I learned to love the state because it's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
it really
and,
is.
And,
It
and
really
good
is.
people, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So before we run out of time, Vanessa, I want to talk just a little bit about, I just saw this new announcement come out, and because we have so many second home buyers here, I wanted to make sure that people understand where this is coming from. I'm sure that lots of times people say to you, why are you charging us so much? And it's not you. You're just the messenger.
No,
A lot of these fees come down from federal and state agencies.
Right.
Yes, like this. This is FHFA raises fees on high balance second home loans. Well, it says high balance, but let me just read you the one paragraph out of here. The National Association of Home Builders said that a buyer of a second home with a $300,000 mortgage loan amount and a loan-to-value ratio of 65%, so that means they have a chunk of equity already in the house, for example, will pay an additional $4,875 if their mortgage is purchased by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And this is happening. This takes effect on April 1st.
And
Wow.
you're gonna see rates change before April 1st because those are loans that are closing by that date, which means if you're gonna be closing by April 1st, you're probably going into contract sometime in late February, maybe early March. So, yeah, this is new. It just happened, and it's going to dramatically affect second home rates. So if there's anybody out there right now who's considering buying a second home, I would encourage you to do it right now.
Now's the time to do it.
If if you've been sitting on the fence, do it now because the rates are going to go up considerably, or it's going to cost you a tremendous amount of money,
Right.
in just points to get a decent rate.
The other side
And
of
this
this
is coming
coin
from
is
this is coming from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
They are the entities that give the guidelines for all conventional financing. So this is not coming from the lenders. This is directly from Fannie and Freddie. So even if we do if our mortgage company does a conventional loan, and we keep the loan and we service it, it's still owned by either Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So they own the loan, we
So
service
they
it.
insure it then?
Yes. Well, it's
Oh.
not insured per se. It's we have underwritten it according to their guidelines. and they own the loan. We service it. It's beyond my pay grade.
So, it would be similar to like an SBA business loan.
No,
type
it's
thing, isn't it?
that's not
No?
the same. SBA is a
It's
government
not.
loan,
Okay.
and that's a commercial type
That's it.
loan.
Okay.
But they're
Never
the
mind.
ones setting the guidelines for this, and
Yeah.
I honestly think I think because of the article that you read at the beginning of the broadcast, where the second home purchases were up 77%. They know that a lot of people are not buying these as true second homes, and they're becoming more of an investment property. And you're allowed to have a
Sure.
second home and rent it out for part of the time, but you're supposed to use it for 6 months out of the year, or 3 to 6 months out of the year, and that's not so I think they're trying to curtail that back. And we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know if it's going to be a forever thing. So we're not really sure where this is going to go past that, but lenders are going to figure out a way to work this. We don't know what's going to happen because we do second homes in our portfolio. I don't know if the rates are going to be changing there. We just don't know yet.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So, just to let everybody know. And I don't see prices going up drastically this year like they have over the last 2 years, but I also don't see them coming down.
Correct.
So if you're out there on the fence waiting for prices to come down, it's not going to happen.
Right. You're going to be waiting.
I mean, we're into season now, but season lasts longer every year, so...
Is there even a season for Florida right now?
Well, that's what I was
not
just gonna
because
say.
not
Because
nearly as
there's
much
still
as
so
there
many
used
people
to be.
moving into Florida.
And we are out of rental properties. I have so many people who could not get rental properties to come here during the winter this year because they simply aren't available.
Wow.
Yeah. So that increases our population a lot when, because a lot of the rental properties that we had available in the past have been purchased over the last couple of years.
Sure.
And now those people that purchased them are using them themselves in
Correct.
season, so they're not available for rentals.
Right.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
stands to reason. And, you see a lot of apartment buildings going up.
Yeah, but those are for annual rentals. Those aren't for seasonal
Another
rentals.
curveball.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd have to. Okay.
Yep. And remember also with anything under 6 months is called, I don't know the term that they use, a temporary rental or whatever, but it's subject to the taxes. Like, don't hold me to this number exactly, but I think that in St. Lucie County it's 12%, in Martin County it's 11.5%. And that tax amount gets paid, of course, the owner passes that on to the tenant.
Sure.
Because if they can rent their property for more than one time during the year, of course, it depends on the community where it is, but yeah, let's say they have somebody that is renting for 2 months and then they have somebody else that's renting for 3 months. Both of those rentals are subject to that bed tax.
Now, I know we used to have a lot of Canadian rentals, but there again, COVID probably did a number on
Yeah,
all
there's
of
a lot of
that.
Canadians that decided not to come back or sold
Sure.
their properties, couldn't come
Oh,
back.
couldn't, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not so much coming here, it's getting
Trying to get back.
again, getting back home again that they have difficulty with. Yeah, thanks to COVID.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So let me see if there's anything we forgot on here. Is there anything you want to bring up, Vanessa?
Well, again, it's been a pleasure to be here with you. So thank you for letting me be on your show today. But,
It's my pleasure. We are honored to have you.
Thank you.
You have so much experience and so much knowledge in the industry, and just the short time that I've known you, I can tell that you are a very honest and forthright business person, and you care about your customers, and you give them the best you can find for them.
Right. My job, what I'm always looking to do is when I talk to a customer, I ask a lot of questions because I ultimately want to know what's your goal. And I'm here to help you find what's going to work for you. And I'm going to give you all your options. and let you choose what's best for you.
Right. And it doesn't help when a customer holds back. They really need to give you all the information that you need so that you can help them form the best program for them.
One other thing I forgot to mention, we do have this really amazing thing where if, let's say, somebody's credit score is a little bit lower than where we need it to be, we have this great tool. It's called a what if, and we can go in and it'll tell us what the customer needs to do in order to increase their credit score. And it may be as simple as having themselves removed as an authorized user on someone else's card. It could be they need to pay down a couple of credit cards just a little bit because the balancers are a little bit high to the limit. And we can do that, and it's called a rapid rescore. And many times we can get that credit score up enough to where they will actually qualify to purchase, and it can be done pretty quickly.
That is cool.
That's a great program.
It's an amazing tool that we have to assist people. And sometimes it's a quick fix, and sometimes it's not. But sometimes we have to have that conversation and say, okay, this is what you're going to need to do, and we probably should talk again in 3 months or 6 months, but at least we can have that conversation and make a plan.
Yes.
Because people just don't know.
No, they don't. You're right.
So we're here to guide them and assist any way we can.
Well, and that's the whole purpose of this show is education.
Mm-hmm.
I started this show because I wanted to make sure that consumers had a way to get as much information as they needed about the real estate industry, because it is still one of the largest purchases that the average American will make.
It is. And there's so many guidelines and so many things that people just don't know. And it can be very scary. It can.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a house last year, and I do this for a living. But when it was on the other side, I'm worried. Is this going to be okay? What do I need to get? It's kind of good that I was on that side, because you know how your customers feel to a certain extent.
Right. Yes.
That's so cool. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, you have the same anxieties all the rest of us do.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Inspection, appraisal. Is my loan going to get approved?
What? You're going to have your property inspected? I don't need an inspection. Oh.
Absolutely, you're going to have it inspected.
You bet. Yep. Yeah, I just can't believe some of these people that are just saying, I don't need an inspection. Oh, yeah? Surprise, surprise.
So, Vanessa, I know that you have a very busy schedule, and I don't want to keep you any longer, but is there one last thing you want to leave with everybody out there listening to the program?
I would just say, don't let the fear of the unknown stop you from your goal of homeownership. If that's something that you would like to do, at least reach out to one of us and let us talk to you. And maybe it's a great time for you, and maybe it's not, but at least, don't let fear stop you. I think so many people are afraid, and they don't know what to expect, or they just think that they won't qualify, and that's not necessarily the case. So that's what I would leave everyone with. And here's to a great 22. And I hope that we'll be hearing from some of you guys out there.
And what's that old saying? Fear is fear. The biggest fear is fear of the unknown, or something like that. So here's the opportunity for you to take control of your own situation. Contact Vanessa, and she can certainly help you. Why don't you give us your contact information one more time?
Absolutely. So, again, the best place to reach me is on my cell phone, 772-834-3187. I don't sit in a regular office anymore. They kind of sent us all home after COVID, and they decided it worked out really well that way. So I work remotely, but I have access to meet anyone in any local branch, so that's not a problem. But again, you can reach me on my cell phone, 772-834-3187. After hours and weekends is fine. Or you can email me at Coniglio, that's VCONIGLIO, at southstatebank.com.
Wonderful.
That's great. Well, welcome aboard. And
Thank you
we'll
so
see
much,
you soon.
Vanessa.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day.
You
All
too.
Right. All right. Good stuff. All right. Vanessa Coniglio, South State Bank. And yeah, it's valuable information. It really is.
Yes. And she's
Yeah.
excellent at what she does. So.
Good. Yep. Nice folks at South State.
So I thought this was pretty interesting. These are some of the hottest real estate housing markets of 2022.
Oh, here we go.
This article starts out by saying Tampa, Florida could be the hottest real estate market of 2022.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
growing like crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And Tampa is where they are building that community for veterans, too. There was a large parcel of land that was donated, and I read something recently that they're working on their first 10 houses there, I guess.
Yeah, that's going to be
Already.
great. That's going to be great. Yeah.
Yep. So this says that the top 10 list was dominated by Sunbelt cities, including Jacksonville, Florida, Raleigh, North Carolina, and San Antonio, Texas. Buyers are drawn to these cities by lower housing costs, increasing economic opportunities, and the opportunity for year-round outdoor recreation.
Yep.
Which, of course,
That's
you got to
it,
be
too.
in a warmer climate to do that.
Yep. Yep.
Where did I see? Oh, economists predict New York, Milwaukee, San Francisco, Chicago, and San Jose to be among the coolest markets for 2022. But again, buyers shouldn't expect extraordinary deals because even the writer of this article thinks that housing prices in general will maintain where they are now.
So you said San Jose, which is
New York.
high tax California.
Milwaukee,
New York is high tax New York.
San Francisco,
San Francisco's high tax both city and California.
Chicago.
And Chicago's Chicago.
Yepers.
Wow. That's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty
We've
interesting.
only got about 6 minutes left.
Oh, my
Good
gosh.
grief. It has flown, but I'll
So
tell you, it's going to
I'm
be
not
nice
going to get
having
to
Vanessa
special
with us.
listings because I wanted to start about this article. We'll continue this article next week.
Sure.
But this is really good information, and it's a question that I get asked a lot of times, which is, should I renovate my home before I sell it?
Oh, yeah.
The big should I? Well, way back when, I would say if you want to get top dollar for your home, then yes, you should consider doing renovations. But that's not so true anymore. We have buyers that come from all different avenues, and so your home can be in pretty much any condition, and we can probably find a buyer who's interested. I have access to many investors and investment companies that will buy homes in any condition as long as they are in the area that they are investing in. So if it's a distress sale, don't think that you can't sell your property. You could get offers on your property. Of course, they're not going to be top dollar, but you could. The other issue with renovating nowadays is renovation costs are increasing as material costs are increasing.
If they can get the materials.
Right. And if you are renovating to sell, you're probably not going to get back dollar for dollar what you put into that renovation. So this article gives you a lot of good information and a lot of good suggestions. We'll be talking about this in the next couple of weeks coming up, but in general, I would say that the answer to should I renovate my home before selling is no, not necessarily.
Well, should I renovate and replace the wood stove that we have? I'm not saying the appliances are a little old, but
Well, the thing to remember about it, so here's the basic issue of renovations. If you renovate, the secret You know, if you're watching all these shows on television
Oh, yeah.
and you see
Yeah, I
them,
see that
you
stuff,
see
yeah.
them putting top of the line stuff in all the time, and you see them putting feature walls in every room, and I mean, that's okay if you are talking about a property that's over $800,000 maybe, but a property under that, you're better off making things as neutral as possible.
Correct.
Because that buyer that's coming in, even if they want to be able to move into a move-in ready home, they're going to do something to that home to give it their personality. They don't want to live in it with your personality. So, my best advice to you, if you are going to sell your home, make it as clean, as spick and span clean, and as maintenance-free as possible. Those are my two best suggestions to you. Take care of the expensive maintenance issues so nothing comes up in your inspection, in the buyer's inspection. And I do have a company, they've been on our show before, but I do have a company that does pre-listing inspections on a regular basis.
Ooh, yes,
so if you would like a pre-listing inspection done of your property, so that maybe you can consider things you might want to take care of before it goes on the market, so that you don't have problems down the road after you receive an offer with their inspection, that's certainly a good place to start.
So the purple and orange strawberry alarm clock walls should probably be painted.
And neutrals are still neutrals.
Yeah.
People,
You can't
some
beat
people,
neutral either,
right?
you know.
Some people are getting tired of seeing every house they walk into to be gray and white, but neutrals are still neutrals.
Yeah, I agree. You know,
Yes.
it's tough to beat that. There's
Yes.
no doubt about it. Wow.
Wow, we're out of time. I haven't given you our contact information. Let me do that right now. You can reach Paula and I. The cell phone, so you can call or text, is 772-200-5105. That's 200-5105. You can reach us on our email at mydreamhometeam@yahoo.com. You can visit our website, and we can set up your own personal search from the MLS system on mydreamhomeusa.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and welcome aboard to Vanessa and South State Bank, huh?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's a hopefully.
There you go. Keep our fingers crossed.
Right.
That'll be cool.
Right.
All right. Have a good 2022.
Thanks. You too. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and we'll see you next Monday, and we will continue the conversation about getting your home ready to sell.
WPSL, Port St. Lucie, WSTU Stewart.